Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we are diving into an essential topic in computer science, operating system structure. We know what is an operating system, but what about structure? Today we will learn about that. Have you ever wondered how the operating system is built? Just like a house has different layers, foundation, wall, and roof. Operating system also have a structure designed like a house to function more efficiently. In this video, we will break down the layered structure of OS, the key components that makes an OS work. So, without any further ado, let's get started. What is an operating system structure? First, we have to know that. An operating system is a complex software that manages computer hardware and user application. Keep it organized and efficient, developers divide it into structured layers so that it becomes easier to design and update, faster and more efficient, and the different functions remain organized and independent. There are several ways to structure an OS, but one of the most common approaches is the layered structure. Layered structure of an operating system. In a operating system, different parts of the OS are divided into layers, with each layer responsible for a specific function. The structure looks like a stack of layers one by one, where each layer depends on the one below it. Imagine a cake with multiple layers. The foundation is at the bottom, the top layer is a user interface. Each layer only communicates with the layer directly below and it provides services to the layer above it. Then, typical OS layer, how it is formed. So, firstly, there is the hardware layer. In the hardware layer, it is the lowest layer consisting of physical hardware like CPU, memory, and input output device like keyboard or mouse. The OS will interact with the hardware only through system calls to ensure that there is always safety and efficiency maintained. Then there is the kernel layer. The kernel layer is the core of the operating system. Without the kernel layer, the operating system cannot perform. Think of it like as the heart of a human. The kernel layer is the heart of the operating system. It manages memory, process, and the hardware communication. It acts as a bridge between the hardware and application. Then we have the device management layer. As the name suggests, it manages the device. It controls the input output devices like keyboard, mouse, and printer. It also uses drivers to communicate with difficult hardware. Then we have the file system layers above that. It handles the file creation, storage, and retrieval. It ensures users can access and organize data easily. Then we have the user interface layer. It's the topmost layer and the user can interact with this layer only. It provides GUI, graphical user interface, and the command line interface, that is CLI. So we now know the layers, but what are the pros and cons of the layered structure? Talking about the pros, firstly, it is very easy to manage and the debug the layers. Then the modular design, the layers can be updated separately, so the updation can be a very fast pace. Then we have the increased system security. Since each function is divided into different layers, there is always a security maintained. But we have some disadvantages also, like it can be slower because requests must pass through multiple layers. For example, if I have request for the topmost layer, firstly it will pass to the lower layers and then it will reach to the topmost layer. So it can be slower also. Then the rigid design. It is very difficult to modify without affecting the other layers. So for example, if I have to modify the topmost layer, the layer below it might also be get modified. Okay, so example of a layered OS, it includes Unix and your Linux system. It uses a layered architecture to separate functions and improve security. Now that we understand the layered structure, we have to also look at the key components that makes an operating system work, because the OS cannot function like a person. It needs key components. An OS is not just a single program, it consists of several system components that work together. Let us look at the system components. Firstly, we have the process management. A computer runs multiple programs at once. So, how does the OS manages all these processes? Process management is responsible for creating and terminating a process, allocating CPU times to process. It means the process management is responsible for allocating the CPU times to each process for finishing that task. It also prevents deadlocks, where the process gets stuck waiting for another resource which is already used by another process. We will study about deadlocks in the coming lectures in detail. Now, an example, when you open multiple apps on your phone, the process management ensures they don't interfere with each other. For example, if you are using the camera at one time, then the camera will not open in another app. There will come an error. So that is managed by process management. Then we have memory management. In memory management, every program, for example, let us say for every program it needs memory obviously, but there is a limited amount. So how does the OS handle it? Because the memory is limited, but every program needs it. So it allocates and deallocate memory from each process. It also manages virtual memory. It means it uses hard disk as extra RAM. Also, it ensures that each process gets the required memory, and the memory is not less or more. It is just the sufficient memory for that process, completion of the process. An example of this will be, for example, if you have too many apps open on your smartphone, it will get slow. Your smartphone gets slow. That's because memory is being overloaded, and it needs to be free the memory to make it work smoother. Then we have the file system management. In the file system manages all the files on a computer, ensures data is stored and retrieved efficiently. It handles all the file creation and deletion that happens on a computer. It also organizes all the files to directories to access the files efficiently and faster. Then we can also manage the storage devices like hard drives and USBs efficiently so that every bit of resource is used. And an example of this will be when you are using a Word document and you save a file, the OS will ensure that it's stored safely for future use. Then, coming on the next, we have device management. Device management means that management of the device. The operating system needs to manage hardware devices like your keyboard, printer, and the hard drive also. For that, it ensures that each device has the correct driver, because if the driver is not correct, you cannot use that particular hardware. It also communicates with the device so that the CPU is efficiently managed. Also, the input and output operations run smoothly on the system. An example of this will be when you plug in a USB drive, the OS detects and it allows you to access your files, so you can manage that on that device that is connected to your system at that time only. Then we have the user system and user interface and the system calls. The user interface is what allows us to interact with the OS, as we have studied previously also. It means interacting with the system. There are two main types. Firstly, graphical user interface. It uses windows, icons, and menu in the Windows also and the macOS also. Then we have command line interface. It uses text commands. Uh, for example, in the Linux terminal and the PowerShell, we can access the interface with just text commands. These system calls act as a bridge between application and the OS, allowing programs to request services like file access, process execution, and memory allocation. For example, when you copy paste a file, the OS handles the request through system calls. So, in conclusion, today we have learned how an operating system is built, what are its layers, and then the layered structure of the OS, and most importantly, key system components. If you liked this video, hit that like button and subscribe. And if you have any questions, leave that in the comment and it will be answered in the future. Thank you.